everyone, my name is Ellie Erickson and I am your host today for Stitch Stories. Today with me I have Caroline. Hello, Caroline.
Hi.
Hi. Before we get started, can you give the viewers a little bit brief explanation about like who you are, what you do, all that fun stuff?
Yeah, so I am an interior designer based in New York City, and then I also do some content creation about mostly focused on design and travel on the side. Where you can find me is on TikTok, typically under the guise of the pilot's daughter, where I sort of explore different cities and New York and share travel tips and fun facts about everything.
I love it. Yes, and I'm so excited to chat with you today. Not only do your socials seem so cool, but just our brief talks, I've absolutely loved it. And I'm excited to hear more about your personal patch collections. So the first question I have for you is, what kind of got you into patch collecting?
Yeah, so what sort of got me into patch collecting is I had always been a journaler and I had always been like scrapbooking and journaling about all the places I'd been to. And with that, I was collecting boarding passes and the postcards when I was going places. But then I came across my first patch. And it sort of sparked the idea of, oh, this would be really interesting to start collecting these with each city that I went to and see where my collection will take me, see all the cities that I go to and have all these patches with, different colors, different city names, different country names, and sort of put that together in one place. So that was sort of what launched that initial idea.
I love that. Yeah, I love the journey from kind of starting collecting other things from your travels and then finding that, patches. And they're just so easy to collect and they're always so fun and original to the experience or the location. So it's a really cool thing to see where you started and how you got there. Can you tell me do you remember the very first patch you ever got?
Yeah, so the very first patch that I ever got was actually when I was 16. I went to Paris with my dad, and it was my third time out of the country. And I came across this patch that actually had nothing to really do with Paris, but it just said love. And I don't know, I think it was something about like it being so tangible, and I sort of it sparked a bunch of ideas of, oh, what if I put this on a jean jacket one day? What if I sort of put it on like a big canvas and I collect all these patches? And I liked the idea of being able to explore with that. And then also started thinking, oh, I wonder if I can find these in other cities that I plan to visit one day. Because I had sort of started to begin my journey as a traveler at that age. And initially, I mean, that little love patch, it's it's just like it says love.
Yeah.
It
If
has like
you
a yellow
remember.
rim, a white
Yeah.
background, and it's really simple. But I think I really liked the color of it, and I think I was just so in love with Paris at the moment that
Yeah.
it felt like such a unique thing to grab from Paris specifically, and remember that specific time I went to that city, and so I got it, and it's now the jean jacket that I put all these patches on, it's now on the jean jacket. So
I love it. Well, that's awesome. I think it's so fun, especially as that first trip to Paris, which is just such a cool experience to have. And, that your journey of like being like, oh, this is just a fun memento that maybe doesn't directly relate to the location, but it's like it just showcases like what I'm feeling, and that's so cool. Would you say that's kind of your favorite patch, or do you have another one that you would deem as your favorite?
I I feel like it changes sometimes, but a lot of my like I guess like one of my favorite patches is actually because of the design itself. It's these little
Okay.
tiny sushis from Japan, and I mean, all my patches are so collected to a memory of me
Yeah.
traveling to these places that it's hard to say I favor one over the other because I think about that trip and who I was on that trip with. But design wise and sort of aesthetics wise, I love the little tiny sushis because they're so tiny, and I put them on the collar of my jean jacket. So
Oh,
it was super fun to like flip over the collar, and then you see these little sushis along the
yeah.
collar. And every single time I look at it, I think about the fact that I was traveling around Japan with my brother and sister-in-law, also right before they announced that they were pregnant and before they found out. So, like, sort of a huge shift of a trip. And then we also ate such amazing food, like, on this trip. And so I love the little tiny sushi patches because it was sort of our last trip before they also stepped into this big other time of their life.
Yeah.
And it was just overall such a wonderful trip that I think the sushi patch, I like the design, but I also just love that memory of being able to hop on that trip all together. And it was all
For
very
sure.
last minute planned too.
Yeah.
So the spontaneity and also like finding that unique design in the city was awesome.
Yeah, that's so cool. Oh my goodness. And just like the personal connection to it. I love that. That's so sweet. So you've mentioned a couple of times that you collect your patches and you put them on a jean jacket. Can you kind of tell me more, or do you have it with you or anything like that?
Yeah, so I have it with me and it's been a
Love
work
it.
in progress.
I love
I was like some of the patches I need to do some extra sewing, but
Yeah.
I've sort of I have been collecting these patches for years, and
Yeah.
then slowly I'm finally finding the time to iron them all on. But the jean jacket, I actually always knew I wanted to get like a super oversized jean jacket to put them on. And like I found the jean jacket thrifting actually in New York 2 years ago. I was just in my neighborhood, and there's this like old vintage thrift market that happens on every Sunday. And so my friends and I went through, and then I saw this jean jacket, and I knew immediately it was the jean jacket to collect all my patches on. So I started finally ironing on all my patches, and I still have a stack of patches
That can do. Yeah.
procrastinating putting them all on, but it's a lot of fun to sort of just piece it all together. It's like sort of
Yeah.
like a puzzle and putting it
For
on the
sure.
jacket and figuring out where I want to place it and the colors and like if I want to divide it by countries and
Yeah, how you want to showcase it on the jacket itself, for sure. Oh, that's so cool. I love it. I have all of my patches in a little case here, but I have always thought the idea of having them on like a wearable item or something that you can just showcase it when you're out and about. That is so cool. Do you ever wear it as like a like day-to-day type of thing, or is it more of just like this is a really fun memento. I love it, but it's only brought out for special occasions.
I do wear it on like I wouldn't say like day to day, but definitely with some like I don't know, like I'll put on like an athletic dress and I'll wear the jean jacket when I'm walking around Central Park or and it's always sort of an interesting conversation piece too if I'm standing in line for a coffee and then people say, "Wow, you got a lot of patches on there.
Yeah.
You must love to travel." Because they start reading it like the cities that I've been to and then I tell them about all of my travels and sort of how I travel a lot because of my dad and where have they been, where have I been, and what's your experience. So that's really fun. I do wear it sometimes on the plane, but I do think it's sort of a more casual piece, and I do have to dress up on airplanes.
Hmm.
So I don't wear it all the time.
Yeah, yeah. But it's a fun thing even when you do just get to bring it out. It's a great conversation starter, as you said. Like you get to just talk about, and I'm sure you found like some connections and people talking to you. They're like, oh, yeah, we've been there too, or we've done that. And I'm sure that's a great way to connect with more people and showcase the travels you've done. So that's awesome.
Absolutely.
Um, do you, as you continue to collect your patches, do you see yourself just consistently putting them on the jean jacket, or do you think where do you see your collection going in the future? If you tend to get, or if you happen to get too many for a jean jacket, what's kind of your plan there?
Yeah, because I still have a large stack, and I
Yeah.
do think to myself sometimes, I don't know how I'm going to fit these all on the jean jacket.
Yeah.
I do love the idea of filling up my jean jacket, and then I've always wanted to get embroidered on the back, the pilot's daughter,
Oh,
just because it's sort
wow.
of my brand name, and like I obviously love my dad and love traveling with my family and love traveling with him, and he's sort of literally shown me the world. So that's been a whole thing with the whole social media as well. But so I've always sort of wanted to get it embroidered, and then one day when it does fill up with the patches all around that, I think like I might end up doing like a big canvas, sort of I guess similar to how you have like, sort of a matchbox in a way of
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
patches. But I've always thought that might be interesting to put that up on a wall and maybe like in a study. Maybe one day I'll have a study in a
Yeah.
library and
Exactly.
put
Yeah.
that on the canvas there and just reflect on all the people and the cities and the memories I've made across the world. So I think that's where I see it probably going. But I do think I'll always have the jacket as fully stacked as I can.
As you
Um,
can. Yeah. Put as
so yeah,
many on there. Love
yeah.
it. Oh, I love that. And I just as like person. I love like that. Just that sounds like my kind of like dream. I relate to you in a lot of ways. I love to travel with my family. I love to just like, make those connections, and it's so cool to hear that from like another person. And I just think that's such a great thing to have in life. And I'm so happy that you've like gotten the opportunity to like do that. That's really, really cool.
Thanks. I'm glad you can relate to it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like I think travel is one of the best things that the world always needs.
agree. I agree. I think just learning about what life is like all around, and, the differences of people and the way they live. And, it's just such a cool thing to be able to experience and to see. It's awesome. It's very, very cool.
Totally.
Love it. And the next question I have for you, is so we kind of touched on this a little bit. I know.
Sorry, my dog.
No, you're okay. What's your
He
dog's
always like
name?
barks at the mailman.
Oh,
So sorry.
A-okay. No worries. I get it. I know my dog at home always goes ballistic if anybody is ever around and just is like, oh my gosh, hey. So no worries. What's your dog's name?
Bella.
Bella. Oh, well, fun. Well, Bella's a special guest. Gets to join in. Love it. Love it. Okay, let me think. Where was I? Oh, so we talked a little bit about like where you started with your first patch, how it's maybe changed. Do you think you ever have had a time in your patch journey where you've had like a favorite patch where it's like, yes, this is the specific one I love, or has it really kind of just changed over time, or it's like, oh, this is a trip that I'm really, really like fond of and like to think about, or how has that kind of changed?
I think yeah, it's so hard to pick out sort of a favorite
It
patch.
is.
It's changed over time because I definitely do associate each patch with sort of a memory of traveling to that city.
Mhm.
I think one of my favorite patches, like, because it's like I love the sushis because they look so cool, and then it reminds me of my brother and sister-in-law and like us all traveling together, and then sort of all the wonderful food and like the crazy cities that we visited.
Yeah, all
But
the fun stuff.
then I think this will be one of my favorite patches forever is probably my Great Wall of China patch. And I think I actually obviously didn't get it in person when I was 8 years old, but I ordered it like obviously a few years ago
Later.
when I was like, oh, I need to grab this patch. And I was looking online trying to find a design that I liked because that was my first city that I ever visited outside of the country. And it was my first time
That's
outside of the
so cool.
country in general. And I was
Yeah.
8 years old. It was right before the Beijing Olympics. And it's such a like vibrant trip in my mind of going there with my mom did not go because she was pregnant with my younger brother,
Oh,
but
okay.
it was with my dad, my grandparents on my mom's side, and then my older brother. And it was just when we went there, it was just such a different culture and like architecture than I had known in Ohio at the time. And it really, I think, sparked this whole love of travel and meeting new people. And like, I think it was hard for me to wrap my head around that I couldn't understand what people were saying because it was
Yeah.
a different language. And I didn't know the concept of really a different language at that time because you're so
Yeah.
little, you only know what
You're
you
so young.
know.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. And so it sort of put this like interest inside of me to always be curious and always like try to understand people and like talk with them and learn from them, like anyone you meet in the world, and to always keep adventuring. And so that patch sort of, I look at that patch and I think about, wow, this like really started that adventure for me, and like this like just drive to have curiosity every day and learn something new and explore the world. And so I think that's one of my favorite patches. And then another patch, for some reason, I think because I did it a lot in high school with my parents and my younger brother, was we went to the Christmas markets a lot in Europe around December because we were sort of always off of school at that time. Our grades were always good. That was always the deal. We could travel and
Yeah.
our grades were good.
If your grades stay
Yeah.
good. Yeah. I
Yeah.
love it.
And so I actually really like my Brussels sticker because, or like patch, because it sort of reminds me of like seeing the light shows in Europe at the first, like for the first time, and like experiencing those Christmas markets. Because I mean, I think Europe is one of the best times to travel around Christmas because it's just so magical. It has all these Christmas markets, like the locals are going out like after a Wednesday work day. And
Yeah.
I just think Europeans are so good in that way to like remind you to enjoy life on a day-to-day
Yeah.
basis and get together
Yeah.
with loved ones, friends, family as much as you can. And we were experiencing all of that and going to like Bruges and Brussels and then Berlin and all these cities that had these beautiful Christmas markets. And it was my first time seeing that. So people always ask me about Brussels, and people love to say, is Brussels actually worth visiting? And I have such a, I mean, I've seen it in all seasons at this point in my life,
Yeah.
but I love Brussels, and I always say, I think it's a very underrated city,
Yeah.
um, because it does have so much architecture and culture too. And although it is such a big, like, there's a huge business center and like
Yeah.
atmosphere there.
Mhm.
Um, I love that patch because it's connected to those memories of me sort of going on that trip with my family and just the magic around Christmas and the
Definitely.
holidays in general.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. So I think the China patch, sushi patches, and Brussels always sort of really have a very special piece of my heart. But
Yeah.
yeah,
And they're just great mementos of those experiences. I just absolutely love it. All of those places that you've listed, I've never been, but they are on my bucket list, and it just they sound amazing, and I love to hear the stories of like the things you've experienced, and whether it be the when you went to China for the first time and you like learned about the importance of connecting with others and like learning about others, or even in Brussels, just like the experience of the Christmas markets. That is such a bucket list item for me. Like I have to go to Europe one time during the holiday season just because I want to see. That's just always been a dream of mine. So I just love to hear it, and I love to know that you've like been able to commemorate those through like souvenir patches. That is so cool. I love it. Yeah, of course.
you'll for sure be
Uh,
able to visit. And yeah, absolutely. Can't pass up on those trips. I mean, it's just, yeah, it's stunning. And everyone's so like cheery, and there's a ton of, I mean, amazing handcrafted goods also to like pick up when you're there. So
Other little trinkets, right? Like
yeah.
always fun. Yeah, other little things. Yeah, I know. I'm really excited. I get the opportunity to study abroad next semester, which I'm so excited for. I'm going to Spain, and while I won't be there for like the holiday season, I am so just thrilled to go and immerse myself in all those different cultures and like do different trips and just see what the world has to offer and the different things that different places get to showcase. So it's going to be a really fun experience, and I'm like every time. Yeah, yeah, it's just awesome. It's exciting. Well, love it. The next question I have for you, which kind of ties in somewhat to the patch you got for the Great Wall of China, but if you had an experience that you don't have a patch for currently, what would that experience be? And or if you could like design a patch around that experience, what would you design?
So I think a patch that it would probably not actually be a city patch. And actually, I was thinking about this, and I think a great patch to be designed for like an experience that you get when you're voyaging and when you're traveling would be, I would probably want to purchase this one, is just a girl like sitting on a train, and she has her journal and her pen, and like you can tell that it's the train seat, and maybe there's like you see the back wall and then the window, and she's either staring out the window or staring down into her notebook, because I think that would be a great patch to sort of put on the jacket, because one of the sort of not so glorious moments is when you're traveling city to city because it's stressful, you're running, and like when you're on your
Sure.
way, you're
Yeah.
running to the train to make sure you get there in time. Oh no, you might have like accidentally bought the wrong ticket, so then you like buy the like the
Figure it out.
correct ticket, and then you figure it out in the last minute, and then you finally make the train, and then you're sat down. But also, so it's like it can be a very hectic time actually doing the actual traveling, but I think it's still such an important part of a voyage.
Totally.
And I also think during those times when you are in a train or in an airplane and you're looking out the window and you're journaling and you're reflecting about everything that you've seen, and still these questions that you have about these cultures, about these people, and then what you're anticipating for the next city that you're going to see. I think it's such a wonderful time of reflection and anticipation, and I think I would want a patch to sort of commemorate that moment. So
Definitely. Definitely. Yeah. And I think that speaks a lot to like the personal growth you get on those experiences and on those voyages and travels. Like having that time to center yourself and think about what you've seen and where you're going. That is such a crucial part to growing and experiencing and traveling. So I think that's a great idea for a patch. And it encapsulates all different types of traveling. It doesn't have
Mm-hmm.
to be tied, like you said, to a specific place or one specific memory, but it's like this as a whole is part of who I am and that, like, how I've changed throughout those experiences. I think that's a great, great thing. I love it.
Thanks. Absolutely. Yeah. And and there's just so many lessons that you learn like on in that moment too. And so yeah, I was like, I think that would be a good patch to add.
Yeah. I love it. Yeah. And it just covers the small moments, the ones that you maybe don't think about when you're like collecting or getting a souvenir or something fun, but it like still is such an innate part of whatever the experience may be. Like it's just such a crucial, crucial aspect of it. So it would be very cool to commemorate that with a patch. I love it.
Sure.
Maybe I'll have to look into maybe making a patch or doing something like, because love that idea too. I think that would be top of my list if I like could create one. Again, I'm not always the best at like sketching something, but I think that would be really cool to have a pattern.
But you mentioned that you like to digitally create, so maybe it's something that you do in Illustrator and then you upload it to a platform and then it somehow creates the patch or something.
Yeah, it would be cool. Yeah, like something cool. I'll have to look into that. I love that idea. I think that's really fun. Well, thank you. Thanks for also giving me an idea. I love it. The next question I have for you is, have you ever received a patch as a gift, and how did that feel compared to buying one yourself based on like one of your own experiences?
I have actually not received a patch as a gift. I think a lot of my patches have been collected by me in like the cities that I've gone to, but I have received like other collectibles related to travel because people always associate with me. Like a lot of people from my hometown now address
Yeah.
me as the pilot's daughter. Oh my gosh, where's the pilot's daughter been
I love
traveling
that.
about it? Things like that, and it's not just Caroline. Like people think of me and they think about travel, and they're always wondering where I am around the world. And I mean, I don't blame them, but
Yeah.
so I'll get like I don't know, I'll get like postcards from friends when they're traveling, which I always love that. I actually still keep those in scrapbooks.
Yeah.
Just like notes from people, or I'll get like sometimes bracelet charms. My mom actually used to give me bracelet charms when her and my dad would travel somewhere, and like a lot of times these cities that her and my dad would travel to, they're frequent cities that we've visited too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so she would get me, I don't know, like a little Eiffel Tower
Memento,
charm
yeah.
or like
Okay.
a New York City charm. And before I moved to New York, obviously, this was obviously when I was back in like high school, I would get these charms a lot. And I always think those are nice because people clearly know me well enough that they know that I appreciate and love travel so much and like what it means to me, and I like knowing that it means a lot to them and that they find these things and then want to give it and share it with me. So
Yeah. It's so sweet to know that it's just that little like, oh, I thought of you. This made me think of you, and getting that too. Yeah, that's very, very cool. With that, do you think what do you think patches, do you think they capture stories better than other keepsakes? Like whether or not they're gifts or ones that you've collected, like other trinkets you've gotten in your travels. Do you think there's a difference between collecting those and getting the stories that pertain to them?
I think um, I think it really depends on the collector because I think something that I've been drawn to patches with is I definitely love fashion. I'm not like the most interested person in fashion, but I do love fashion, and I think having something wearable and like a patch can go on a jacket, I can wear the jacket, has been really
Mhm.
fun for me when it's come to collecting these patches, and I think that's why I started to seek that part out. But for capturing a story, I think I think it really all depends on what someone's innate interest is and what they're drawn to and like gravitated towards. Because people like my dad, he loves coffee, like
Yeah.
absolutely loves coffee, and he loves
Coffee lover.
Starbucks. So
Yeah.
every single city that he has been to, we have so many Starbucks mugs because he has
Yeah, the one.
yeah, that's been his
Yeah.
collectible. And I
Yeah.
think every single person always loves to collect different things. Like my dad, it's his coffee mugs from Starbucks because he loves seeing the design on them and he loves drinking out of a coffee cup one day and be like, oh yeah, I remember when I went to like Taiwan, like or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
And then for my mom, actually, she loves to collect children's books in all these different countries and all these different cities that she's visited. And oftentimes they're in French or Spanish or Arabic, so she can't
Mhm.
read them, but she just loves the pictures and she loves the storytelling aspect. And it makes so much sense to her because she's a super voracious reader and
Yeah.
she's also a teacher. So
Yeah.
I think that's her collectible that she likes to collect. I also know that there's always so many like magnets that people can get. Maybe the person who collects magnets is someone who like really values food and like loves to cook. And so when they see the magnets on their fridge all hung up with like the other pictures with their family and such, then that's their reminder of their trips and their memories and they can be like, oh, I see that Bruges or like Paris magnet and like Porto, Portugal, and oh, I remember all those trips. And they, or maybe it's just the design, like maybe it's just the wine bottle, and they're like, oh yeah, I went to Bordeaux, and this is like
Yeah.
what I did there. And so I think the story is always collected partially with the person themselves, and I think it's just how we record it and how we appreciate it. So
Yeah. Yeah, specific to the things you enjoy and the reasons behind that. I love that. I think that is such a just great way to a really well-rounded perspective of just, it is so special to each and every person, and that's almost what makes it so cool of those collections, because whether or not it's a patch, it's a mug, children's books from across the world, all of the things, it's just so special to each individual, and that's why it's so fun to share and hear about those experiences. Love it.
absolutely.
Well, I love it. Well, thank you, Caroline. That kind of comes to the end of my questions. I so appreciate you spending the time to talk with me. It's been so cool to hear about your travels. I will definitely keep up with like all of your socials because I want to see and hear about all of your future travels and things. But I really appreciate you sitting down to talk with me specifically about your patches as well.
Thank you. Of course. Thanks for including me and for reaching out and asking.
Of course. Of course. Yes. I'm glad it worked out. It's so fun.